1988 was the final year in which Topps was the sole provider of football cards to the marketplace, and considering what cards in this set are worth, that's probably a good thing. Let's take a look at the most valuable cards in 1988 Topps football. Now, 1988 was the last year before the junk wax era overtook football, as it had spread from baseball. In 1989, Score and Pro Set debuted and set the hobby on fire. But Topps, of course, knew what writing was on the wall. They had seen it in baseball with Donruss and Fleer challenging their dominance, and they knew that people wanted these football cards. They had probably turned up their printing presses on their own, but I don't have a real sense of the print run of these cards, and it would be wildly irresponsible to guess. Unfortunately, because of the varying quality of the rookie classes, we can't even use pack prices to figure this information out either. For example, 1985 Topps football packs go for $15 to $20. 1986 football goes for between $40 and $60, but you can also find Jerry Rice, Andre Reed, and Steve Young rookie cards, all of which go for more than $1,200 in a PSA 9 or 10. 1987 Topps football packs go for $4 or $5, where you can find Jim Kelly, Doug Flutie, and Randall Cunningham, but none of their cards go for more than $150. 1988 Topps football is also about $4 or $5, but there only is one card of value in this entire set. We'll talk about it soon. So, it's a fair bet that the print runs were higher in 1987 and 88, but we will never know how much higher. Let's take a look at the design of this card. 1988 Topps had a simple, clean, eye-catching design. The player image is large and focuses on the player, the man, at the exclusion of the action shots. Topps often chose photographs where even wearing the helmet you could see the player inside. The art is clean. There's not even so much as a team name on the card, just the player name and a helmet image. The gradient color at the bottom fades from one team color to another and is really pleasant to look at. Just like with baseball, Topps didn't really do a lot of original work on the packs of these cards. You can see that from 1985 to 1991, they used the exact same art, just with different colors, on all of their football card packs. The set has a very interesting quirk when it's compared to modern football cards. It was one of the final years during which rookie cards were not printed for any actual rookie. The best 1988 draft picks, well, they didn't have cards in 88 Topps. So rookie cards are much like those in baseball. They come out the year or maybe several years after a player's debut. And there was no 1988 Topps traded set either, like there was in 1989, so Topps couldn't even slip rookies in through card dealers, like they did in 1989 with Barry Sanders, Troy Aikman, and Deion Sanders. For the record, by the way, 1989 Topps and 1989 Topps Traded were fantastic sets. But 1988, not so much. In fact, this set is notable for its lack of star power. Part of that is attributable to the 1987 NFL draft class being pretty poor with only two Hall of Famers. And of course, part of it is attributable to the fact that neither of those two 1987 draftees had rookie cards in 1988 Topps. Rod Woodson and Chris Carter would make their first cardboard appearance in 1989. The 1986 draft class, when many of the best young players should have been making waves, was even worse. Only one Hall of Fame player emerged from that draft, and that was Charles Haley. So, let's quit beating around the bush. Let's dive into the very few 1988 Topps football cards that have any value at all. Now, here are the basic rules. Only eBay sales count, and we're using PSA 9 and 10. The most valuable card in this set is the Bo Jackson Topps Super Rookie card. This is the only mass market rookie card that Bo Jackson would ever have. Yes, there was a Panini sticker, and yes, there was a Raiders / Texaco / Los Angeles Police 12 card pack issue set, but those don't really count. As far as rookie cards go, this is pretty much it. And man, this is a great card to own. If you don't have one, a PSA 10 will set you back $1,500 to $1,600. The second most valuable card also features Bo Jackson. It's Bo Jackson All Alone. Bo was featured on the Raiders Team Leaders card in 1988 despite not being a team leader in any single category in 1987. But what can you do? Topps knew who the league's newest superstar was, and this card will set you back about $125. The third most valuable card in the set is the Boz, and the drop off here is stunning, from $1,500 to $125 to maybe $100. Again, this is the consequence of the 1987 draft class, who was mostly not great, not even having cards yet, and 1986 being a pretty poor class to boot. The fourth most valuable card is John Elway. Now, the year before this card was printed, in 1987, Elway had led his Broncos to the Super Bowl over the Bernie Kosar-led Cleveland Browns. You'll recall the fumble in the 1987 AFC title game. For his trouble, Elway gets a $75 card. Up next is Dan Marino. Marino was at this point also a budding young superstar in his own right, having lost a Super Bowl to Joe Montana exactly the same way that John Elway did. And this fantastic quarterback can be yours for just $60. Up next is Charles Haley. He is the only player from the 1986 draft class to make the Hall of Fame. This is his rookie card, and you can get it for $50. Warren Moon is a CFL and NFL legend. He was one of the greatest moonshot guys of the 1980s and 90s. He was a no-doubt Hall of Famer. He was a Grey Cup winner. He was one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever live, and he's yours for probably under $50. Steve Young comes next on the list. Young and Vinny Testaverde were locked up in a battle to replace the ageless Steve DeBerg in Tampa Bay in the mid-1980s, and the Buccaneers decided to go with Testaverde and shipped Young off to San Francisco, where he would play backup to Joe Montana for 5 years. Of course, he would eventually win his own Super Bowl, but in 1988, he was just another guy. This card is $35. Coming in ninth is Chris Dolman and his rookie card. Only one of these cards has sold in the last 90 days. So is it really only worth $20? Frankly, I hope not. Dolman was a Hall of Famer from the 1987 draft class and is an absolute terror on the defensive line. This number should be higher, and the fact that it isn't is frankly pretty strange. Now, it's important to note that there is very little market liquidity across this set. Outside of Bo Jackson and Brian Bosworth, only about 50 graded cards in 9s or 10s from any grading company sold in the 90 days prior to me recording this video. So a lot of these prices may not be the same next year simply because the lack of graded examples makes the marketplace so unsteady. If you have a 10 of any player in 1988 Topps, frankly, you set the market for most, although how far you can stray might not be clear at first. This is still not a stellar set. Realistically, outside of Bo Jackson and whatever players or teams you personally collect, you can be forgiven for ignoring 1988 Topps. Despite the beauty of the cards, it's a pretty forgettable set, notable mainly for what would come the next year than for any reason on its own. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, comment down below, and we'll see you around.